Bioactive enclosures, a rising trend in the reptile community introducing live plankton vivariums and reptiles in a coexistent place in a self-sustaining ecosystem. But as you can tell over here, we absolutely love our bioactive vivariums. However, there are definitely some reptile species that I believe are going to make a much better choice for you if your goal is creating an amazing looking enclosure and having it stay that way. Let's talk about a few of those species today, starting with number 5, the mourning gecko. Mourning gecko, a small species of gecko that you can find pretty much anywhere, and there's a good reason for that. The fact is they readily produce quite frequently, and also the fact is they are parthenogenic. What is parthenogenic, or what is parthenogenesis? It's the fact that you don't need boys to get babies anymore. Nope, these guys are full-on feminists. The mourning geckos are actually going to be the majority of females being able to clone themselves, in layman's terms, I don't know the science jabble around it, and pretty much self-produce babies. There are very few male mourning geckos, and the male mourning geckos that are around are actually sterile. They play absolutely zero part in the reproduction of this species, leaving the sole thing onto the females. The reproductive cycle for these guys, and I am not joking about this, the 2 female geckos will get together, they'll... This is real. They do a little bit of this, that gets the follicles going, let them know it's time to lay some eggs, and you get some eggs going, and next thing you know, you started out with 3 mourning geckos, and now you got 15 of them. Why are mourning geckos perfect for bioactive setups? 2 reasons. Number 1, you're gonna see a bunch of them because you're gonna constantly be producing them, and number 2, they're going to be a small species of gecko, meaning you can make a really cool arboreal tropical environment for them. However, the gecko itself is not going to be large enough to damage any of those plants. That's going to hugely up the variety and creativeness you can get within this enclosure, because you don't need to worry about how durable or fragile a plant is, because at the end of the day, the mourning gecko is not going to do any damage to any of those plants. But hey, I get it. You know, the mourning geckos, they kind of just look like a grayish brown gecko. Not super exciting. It's a gecko to have inside a beautiful vivarium, but maybe you want something a little bit more prettier. Well, if that's the case for you, we can move on to number 4, the lined day gecko. Phelsuma lineata, otherwise known as the lined day gecko, a small species of day geckos, hence the name day geckos, that can do absolutely perfect in bioactive vivariums. But why is that? Pretty much you are going to take all of the pros that we just talked about, the mourning geckos being small, being able to be creative with plants. However, you get the added bonus of these being an absolutely gorgeous gecko species. We're going to get a neon green gecko with black lines down the side dorsal, pretty similar to the peacock day gecko, except the fact is you're not going to have the peacock spots, you're going to have the lines. Lined day gecko, it's self-explanatory. Pretty much get the beauty of Phelsuma grandius, the giant day gecko, but in a much smaller package, pretty much being able to have a really cool bioactive enclosure without the problem of a giant day gecko wrecking all those plants as soon as it wants to flop down on the ground. The only con I will say for Phelsuma lineata is the fact is this is going to be a display enclosure. If your goal is building a bioactive vivarium, making a display setup and having a display animal, then they are perfect for it. But if you want a gecko that is going to have all the things we just mentioned and also handleable, well, I wouldn't suggest it. That is, Phelsuma lineata is a very skittish species. It's just the ones I personally keep. Maybe other people have more calm ones. However, I can tell you is I always get scared opening that enclosure because one of those bad boys is going to dart out and then I'm going to spend 20 minutes looking for them. An absolutely beautiful species, an amazing display one, but just not one you want to go in and grab because... well, maybe you want to get your cardio in because you're going to get it trying to chase these dudes around your room. Alright, come on, Dakota. I don't want a boring looking gecko I can't hold, and I don't want a pretty looking gecko I can't hold. Isn't there a species of gecko that I can have in a bioactive vivarium, it won't disrupt it, and I can also handle it if I ever so choose? Well, if that is the circumference, the synapsis, that you came to, then number 3 is going to be the one for you, and that will be number 3, the chameleon gecko. Urodactylotes, coming in out of multiple different subspecies, agricoli, and the other ones. These are an amazing species. All the pros you get with the ones we talked about, really cool scalation going on. These guys are going to be more of a dark charcoaly gray color, but almost have like fish scale-like scales going down the body, which I think is just really cool. Added bonus for these, and why I think these are the best New Caledonian species, is because you get a gecko in a tiny, that big, this little thing going on right here, but it is a finger gecko. This dude will just stick onto your fingertip and hang out with you the entire time. I think that is absolutely incredible. It's a very rare sight to have a micro species of gecko that is not afraid of you to the point where it's going to be trying to run away or just not being fast at all. I really don't find my Urodactylotes running around or skirting around at all. They have the temperament of, say, a crested or gargoyle gecko, which the fact is they're a little bit more slow moving, and once again, you can just scoop them up and hold them, and they're not going to jump off of you and immediately dash underneath like a chair or a table or that little crack in the wall that you keep meaning to fill, but you keep forgetting to fill it, and then a gecko goes in there, and then, oh, here we go. Now I got to destroy an entire wall because I decided to spend $600 on a gecko that is this big, and now it's one of my faves over here. You can build a cool bioactive enclosure. They're not going to ruin it. You can hold them, and overall, you're just going to have a great time with this gecko species. Real quick, boys and girls, before we move on with today's video, I just want to talk a little bit about the Bioactive website. It's going to be DB Project Jungle. If you guys are looking into building your own bioactive vivarium, this is going to be a one-stop shop for you. This is because it is going to have everything you could possibly need when it comes to bioactive vivarium building. We have a variety of different plants, trailing, arboreal, air plants such as Tillandsia, bromeliads, all of the good stuff. Homemade bioactive mix that is absolutely perfect and is the ones that we specifically use for every vivarium build we do over here. Your drainage layers, your cleanup crew, isopods, springtails, things like that. Like I said, everything you need. You're just sticking your pinky toe into the pool that is bioactive building and don't know where to start. We take the guests out for you with our plant kits and bioactive kits. Just let us know what species you're working with and how big of an enclosure you're using, and we take the guesswork out, making a beautiful bioactive kit that you can just put right in and have an amazing home for your reptile. If that sounds absolutely amazing, check out the link we have down in the description, or you can go to dbprojectjungle.com as you see right here. Absolutely fantastic. Alright, I think I've wasted enough of your guys' time. Let's get back into the video. Alright, I get it. Dakota, we know you're the gecko guy, but maybe we're not all into geckos over here. Can't you just say something besides geckos? I got you, and that is going to be number 2, we'll call it smaller Anoles species. Anoles come in all shapes and sizes and colors, which is really cool, but I want to focus on these smaller ones. For this instance, we'll be talking about the 3 big ones that I personally keep over here: Anoles macuba, marmoratus, and carolensis. None of these smaller species of Anoles are going to be absolutely perfect for bioactive enclosures for the same reason. It's going to be a small species of gecko that's going to be a lot more delicate on your plants. I've had all of these species plus babies going on in there, and we've had like 15 Anoles going on at this point. They've been breeding like crazy, and no plants have suffered from animals jumping on it and the stems breaking, which is absolutely fantastic. If you are looking for a display species, marmoratus and the macuba are absolutely gorgeous. The macuba males having this lime green base with a black dorsal and white polka dots going onto this dorsal, whereas the females having these dark stripes and almost a teal blue going on. Being able to be sexually dimorphic and then having both of those in there, just seeing an absolutely beautiful species going on while in an absolutely incredible vivarium. The reason why I put Anoles carolensis on this list, or the green Anole, is going to be for 2 big reasons. Number 1, the price. While macuba and marmoratus are cool Anoles, maybe you don't want to spend $200 to $300 on an Anole species, but you do want something to put in your bioactive vivarium. That is going to be where carolensis is going to come in. They're a very cost-afforded animal, being around like 20, 25 bucks for there. And the second reason is going to be the fact is this is a communal species of Anoles. Since if you have a pair of carolensis, they lay some eggs, you have bioactive soils, so you don't need to take those out. They'll hatch out in the vivarium. The Anoles themselves will not eat the babies, which means you can have a colony of Anole geckos in a really cool enclosure, which I think is so cool. Alright, maybe there's one guy out there that is saying, Dakota, I want all of it. I don't want just a gecko that's communal. I don't want just a pretty gecko I can't hold. I want a gecko that is going to be communal, really pretty, handleable, and not ruin my bioactive enclosure. Well, if that's the one you want, I guess you will have to stick with the number 1 choice that we have for bioactive vivariums, and that is going to be number 1, Phelsuma clemeri, otherwise known as the neon day gecko. Phelsuma clemeri, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful day gecko species you can have when it comes to the micro guys. Now you are going to get a gecko that's going to have a lot going after it. As the name suggests, neon vibrant colors. You're going to get some black on the side dorsals, some blues and highlight yellows going down. you're going to get that micro small species of day gecko, so it's not going to ruin any of your plants. The only way your plants are going to get ruined is because you don't work hard enough making sure that enclosure looks great, and next thing you know, half the plants have died because you forgot to water it. Be known, the gecko itself had nothing to do with that. The Clemeri are not parthenogenic like the mourning gecko. They are a communal species, just like the mourning gecko and Anoles carolensis, which means you can have a large group of them inside of your enclosure with any negative effects to the adults trying to prey on the babies or infighting. For the most part, there's always going to be a bad lemon out there, but for the most part, this is an amazing species to have as a group. Which means you can build a really nice large vivarium, have a good colony going, and just raise an army of Clemeri geckos in a beautiful bioactive vivarium. Now, while not as handleable as the Urodactylotes gets like a 10 out of 10 in handleability. For the size, you just plop it, do this or do that, and they're just gonna hang out on your finger, and it's that easy. However, when it comes to day geckos, I found the Clemeri to be the most handleable. This is not gonna be a species such as the lineata, the line day gecko, that is dashing back and forth, just trying to run away and get away from you. They almost have this, I call it like a squirrel personality, right? Where they're not doing these giant leaps of getting away, but these fast little movements. And the fact is, it makes it pretty easy just to kind of guide them onto your hand, and they'll stay on your hand instead of just yeeting themselves into the abyss just trying to get away. The reasons of being communal, not destructive, so you can put pretty much any type of plant you want in there, for having an absolutely amazing coloration and appearance, and the fact that they are somewhat handleable, unlike things like the line day gecko. That is the reason why Phelsuma Clemeri or the neon day gecko made #1 on this list. Let me know in the comment section, did I miss something? Would you have rather had a different species on this list than some of the ones I did? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you guys want to see some more awesome bioactive vibs, I highly recommend this playlist right here, going into our Project Jungle builds, building all the bioactive enclosures you saw today. Maybe you want to check out this video right here, which I'm sure is really rad. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time in your day to follow us over here at Dakota Blue Exotics. I will see you guys next time, but until then, goodbye.